All right, so we got one header mocked up here, just tacked in place, using just the mock-up flange. I don't have my good flanges yet. They're supposed to be here today, but we had a lot of snow today, so maybe they'll show, maybe they won't. But got the one mocked up. I'm going to show you what I got here. I still got to do the next one, but this is basically where we're at right now. Just a short header. You know, wasn't too bad to get together. It's not exactly the same. You know, some of the curves are a little different than other, a little tighter on this side than this side, but I'm not that concerned with it being 100% perfect. I'm not, you know, we're not looking for perfection on this. It's not a race car. But so basically these flanges, these hang out the back. We'll go and trim these all off nice and flush when we're done. Same way on this side. I got a piece hanging out on this side and over here. We'll trim them off and shave them flush before we're done. Once I get the new flanges in, then we'll straighten all that up, make it fit like it needs to. But I just wanted to get started on them before the new flanges came. I didn't want to wait. So that's the one. You know, now we're going to get on this next one. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, basically the same bends. I can actually copy the bends right off of this one. You know, they're going to be identical headers, and you know, to a point, but they're going to be the same on both sides. So I'm going to just copy that one. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Basically, just took the U bends, cut them in half. You know what I mean? These were a U. So right here, that was a U bend. All I did was split it right down the middle. And then what I did was, so these two pieces here are out of this U bend. This is for the one side. Basically, I mean, this has been really kind of a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be. But basically, that U bend goes in the 4-into-1 collector. This goes into the main collector from the head, and that's how the two end exhausts are. I mean, they're literally this. They're a little bit turned, and then same on the other side, a little bit turned. But it's really been a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. It's coming out good, but I thought it was going to be a lot longer on it. So we'll have this one here finished up before too awful long. And you know, first one was the hardest, because now you're trying to fit it. You're trying to figure out where everything clears at. And when them exhausts go over top of each other, I mean, you have to clear. And they all have to go into one hole. So when they're going like this and trying to go into the same area, it's a little tough. But ended up being way easier than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to get on the next one. We're going to get it done and show you what we got. Hopefully, header flanges will be here today, and we can actually finish this and fully weld it and get both of these exhaust headers done and welded today. Then I have to make the adapters, you know, that's basically going to go from the four, you know, the I don't know, I guess it'd be the 4 exhaust flange, and it's got to go to the turbo. And you know, it's got to be a taper, because the turbo hole is much smaller than what I have here on my header. So we're going to taper that thing down, which should work really good, because it's going to take all that exhaust and it's going to squish it right into that turbo. So it's going to come into that turbo with a lot of velocity, which should spool it faster. You know, it should jump up a whole lot quicker than normal, because we are squishing it down so much. And you know, instead of just kind of coming into just a plain old manifold and then into the turbo, then with us squishing it like that, you know, tapered in this side, it really should spool faster, because we're not picking up volume, but we are picking up velocity, which ends up being pressure, and the pressure spools the turbo faster. So I think it will work that way. You know, I'm no expert on it, but that's the way I see it happening. So I'm going to get on this other one, see if we can get these things punched out today and done. All right, guys, wanted to show you where we're at here. You know, I got my header flanges in. They come in the mail here just a little bit ago. So ended up finishing up the other header. Took the first header and got the new flanges on it. So they're 3/8 stainless flanges. Those come out good. They went right back together. So took the mock-up flange off, put it on the new flange. Good to go. So got the other one done too. They're all, you know, mocked up and in place. They're tack welded. They're not fully welded. I'm going to come in tomorrow in the morning. I'm going to weld everything up. But right now, everything's just tacked up. So show you what we got. So there's the one. There's the other one. So probably the shortest headers you've ever seen in your life. But they're done. So now we still have to make, like I said, the adapter. These adapters here won't fit. This, you know, this part here ain't gonna go on the header. Here's what size the header flange is. So we made this out of stainless and we welded bolts in the backside because we need studs. So basically what we got to do here, kind of hard to show you. Let me set this camera up real quick here. All right. So basically what we're going to have to do is this is going to sit in here just like this, and then we're going to take a piece of stainless. I don't have any flat plate on me. We're basically going to take a piece of stainless and go from here down to there, from here down to there. We're going to funnel this, you know, from this big area. We're going to funnel it right down into this small. So, you know, it's going to kind of be like that, funneled right down in all the way around. So that way we stuff all the air from here right into that turbo flange. You know, that's quite a bit smaller than that, obviously. So this isn't going to work. We're going to bring it out here, extend it out just a bit, taper it down in so it really stuffs the air into that turbo. Should work pretty good. I think it'll be all right. I don't know. We're gonna finish welding those up tomorrow. Then I'm gonna make them flanges, and then we'll be ready to mock up some turbos on this engine. I don't know. We ended up getting some. We need to do some motor mounts still. The motor mounts, you know, I was gonna make them, but I got looking, and honestly, I think I picked these things up for like 40 bucks. And heck, by the time I bought the bushings and stuff, would have cost me more, even making them myself, than what these cost. But, you know, we grabbed these up. They're just cheap set of motor mounts, but I mean, how good do you need motor mounts? Looks like they got nylon in them or something, you know, not polyurethane, but that's okay. So, but these bolt right on, and then they got these tabs. We can shorten these up whatever length we need them, and they're just universal mounts. You know, you make whatever you want. So, you know, with our frame rail the way it is, you know, we're gonna have to make our own. So that was kind of a nice deal. You know, we're gonna have to go inside this frame rail here. You know, gonna have to be in there. So we'll just use those, you know, and not worry about having to make them, because it'd probably take me a full day to make those things up. So for 39 bucks, we're not gonna worry about trying to make them. So anyway. All right, guys, so check this out. We kind of got our headers done up here. We got our turbos on the car mocked up. You know, got quite a few things done here. So not thinking, you know, I've not done any turbo cars. You know, this is the first time for me working with turbos. You know, welcome to the ball game for me, I guess. But I kind of made a mistake here. Didn't even think about it. So I made my headers the same for both sides. And if you've messed with turbos, you know that, you know, the turbo is not going to be exactly the same orientation on both sides of your car. You know, so I'll show you what I'm looking at. So right here, So you know, this header comes out, and there's the box I built to match from the headers, you know, to the turbo flange. So that way it'll squish the air down. It's nice angled on all four corners. It'll squish the air right into the turbo. But anyway, there's your orientation on this turbo. Then you go to the other side. Well, let me show you this one. So this looks like a snail shell here, right? So you see that one's coming from the bottom and then up around. And then this one comes from the outside. The intake side comes from the outlet of the intake comes from the outside in. Now look at the other side. You know, and I didn't even think about this. I built both of them and thought they were going to be the same, and they're not. So you see the intake, the outlet of the intake, instead of coming around the outside like the one on the other side does, it comes up the inside. So you're not going to get these all the same, but the real problem is the snail shell on this one. The other side comes out from here. Let me see. Comes out from down here and up around this way. This one, since we just flipped sides, we kind of flipped it over, it comes from the top down. So what I had when I got this thing done was one turbo was, you know, 5-6 inches lower than the turbo on the other side because the snail shell turned the other way on it. So I had to go back in and redo a couple things. But like I said before, if you're not screwing up, well, you know, you're not building hot rods. So I'll show you what I did. Here's how I fixed it. Wasn't too bad. Yeah, I mean, it was. So let me try to get in here. So if you see that box right here, so that box on the other side was pretty much square. So this box, we actually had to turn at an angle and come up at an angle on that exhaust flange to compensate for the difference in the turbo drop on this side. So now we're good. Turbos are even on both sides, except for, you know, once again, the snout comes up the inside on this side for the intake, and the snout comes up the outside on this side. There's nothing we can do about that. That is what it is. As far as I know, nobody makes a reverse turbo, you know, but so you really what they need is a right and left turbo, but I don't think anybody does it, not that I've seen. And if they are, they're not going to be Amazon turbos like I'm running. So this is what we got to deal with. Anyway, not a huge deal. It was just a big surprise to me. Left the camera at home that day, so you know, you didn't get to see my surprise. But anyway, so that's what we got there. So other cool stuff going on. So I'm on to the axle now. We're trying to get the axle housing or the axle set up with the front suspension stuff. And I think I've already showed you guys this. You know, we cut out a test piece for the axle, but it's flimsy, so I can't, you know, I can't make no mounts on it. Can't weld no mounts on it. So I want to do that all out of stainless steel, but I also don't want to try to test fit brackets and everything with a high dollar piece of stainless steel front axle. So what I did was I had my brother plasma cut me this axle, exactly the design we're going to use, out of 3/16 steel. So I can actually just tack this 3/16 axle together and use it for mock-up and get my brackets where I want them, get, you know, all the shock mounts where I want them, get the link bar mounts where I want them, without messing around with my stainless. Once we get that all right and where we want it, then I will have this all cut out of stainless. I may send it out and have it water jetted, because I just checked with a couple companies, and you know, really it's not that expensive to have these parts water jet cut. And you know, if you have the program, which my brother can do the programming, he's already done it. You know, he's cut these out for me. But stainless, cutting out stainless on a plasma table, unless you got nitrogen going to it, then, you know, it's kind of it gets kind of crusty, you know. So it's a lot of cleanup work on stainless, and you know, I'd rather just do water jet or laser or something, be a lot less cleanup on our stainless. So anyway, I think that's what I might do, but for now, until I decide for sure, you know, I just had him cut this out of 3/16 steel, and I'll show you what I got. So here's what we're looking at. You know, there's the pieces he cut, 3/16, And here's how we're doing it. 2 pieces of 3/16, 2 slugs in it for now. So if you look, this has 6 holes on each side. There's 6 of them, but on the back side, we only have 3 holes and nothing here because all of our mounting brackets are going to go right here. So the reason I have 3 of these is because when we do stainless, I'm going to take this third one and put it right down the center. It'll go right down the middle, so these tubes will tie into the first 2 out here. It'll go through all 3 of them here, but these tubes will only go through this one and this one on these outside ones, because this back needs to be solid so I can put my mounts on it. But I didn't want the whole front solid because I think it looks better with the holes all the way out through. So that's why, if you can see now this side, 3 holes, and then it's all open here because my shock mount has to go here, about right here, and then my 4-link mounts go out here. So that's why the back of this is solid. But the 3/16 is heavy enough that we don't need this third one in the middle of it. I just had him cut it out just like we were going to do stainless. But the stainless one, since I'm only using 1/8 inch on the stainless, I'm going to do 3 of these. This is going to be like a triple shear basically. That'll keep it nice and strong. I don't know, stainless worries me a little bit. It does get a little hard and brittle, so we'll do triple on it. I'd rather have it in 1/4 inch, but just the 1/8 inch stainless was so expensive that I don't even want to try to buy 1/4 inch. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We're mocking this up right now. I'm going to just try to square this up. We're not going for perfection. Also, I'm not going to waste this axle. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm just using this thing for mock-up and then it's going to get set in the corner. So what I've decided to do is actually use this axle on my next build. I'm going to build myself a truck next. Probably, I haven't decided. I've got an old 38 International truck. I have some 36 Ford cabs, some 38 Chevys, 37 Chevys. But I'm building myself a truck next. After this car's done, I'm going to get on this 34 to be sold over here, this 34 Ford pickup. It gets sold. But for my own vehicle, the next thing I'm building for myself is going to be an old pickup. So I'll use this axle on that old pickup in steel. I'm not going to have a bunch of stainless on that truck. It's going to be more of a traditional kind of hot rod. So it's not getting wasted. It's not just for mock-up. I'm not throwing money away just to do some mock-up on this. This is going to get used. It's just not getting used on this car. It's going to use for mock-up only. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna tack this in place. Get it kind of squared up so it looks right. But we need to get it tacked in place so I can actually mock it up on the front of this car, center it up on the car, and then get all my mounts and stuff made. Oh, speaking of mounts, he made some mounts for us too. So let me see what we got. I got a pile of stuff over here. Let me grab some of these. We'll take them back over to the table where we can see them. So yeah, I was up there yesterday and he cut us out all the stuff about what I thought I was going to need, and then we add extra holes in them so that way when we put these mounts on this axle, we have multiple holes to go to. So he knocked us these out yesterday. So basically we've got these. So once again, this is going to be mock-up stuff. This is it's all mock-up for right now. Once I get to where I like it, like this is probably going to go like right down here, somewhere in there. Be two of those. So when I figure out what set of holes I like, then we'll make a mount that just has the one hole in it. We don't need all those holes. Now on the 4-link ones, we might leave all the holes because you can adjust how the car rides by where you have your links at in those holes. So anyway, but same thing with these. We're gonna right here. So those are gonna go, basically they're gonna straddle that axle and then weld in, and then we'll decide what set of holes that we want. you know, should be, that's kind of how you get away from, you know, trying to get the right bracket and stuff, or, you know, how you get to the right bracket, because I don't know, there's so many different ways you can do it. And until I set it up and look at it and, you know, physically put my eyes on it and put tubes on it and put bars on it, then I don't know exactly where I want them. So that's why I try to do it this way. If I can put extra holes in something, I will, because I like adjustment. So I don't mind all the extra holes in it, and kind of look cool too. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna get this axle tacked up, and then we're gonna get it in place on the front of the car and see how everything looks, and then we'll show you what we got going on there. Give me a couple minutes to get this thing squared up a little bit and a couple tacks in it, and we'll get it on the front of this car.